Ezra's brother, Judah Aderhold, had been doing this for a while. He's actually on Instagram at Disc Golf Illustrated. I didn't know this had been going on. He'd been making these world rankings for quite some time now. And his is like heavily mathematically based. Well, I mean, let me just read you the formula so you can understand when I say like well above what I understand.
Right. Well, there's like a decay theory involved.
Well, there's a bunch of, so the initial points formula, the formula for the points each rating gives someone when they beat them is y equals, what is this? 111,32180. I think that's in millions. Plus, and then in parentheses, 0.5340068 minus 111,32810 divided by 1 plus x divided by 1201.756 raised to the power of 92.87543. X equals the rating of the player you beat. Y equals a point you receive from beating that player.
Now what?
So, exactly. That's when I look at that, I'm like, because Brody had pitched this to me as a world rankings that you can easily follow or know what's going to happen. So I was very excited for this, and I have no idea what's going on. No idea. There's also a decay formula, the time decay factor, closely after the time decay factor for the ball golf world rankings. It's a little more fluid. So each week, there's no decay for 13 weeks. And each week after that loses 1.1% each week. So then he created a new one, though. That was the golf one, his new formula, and then he puts a bunch of numbers. So the results shown below. So you can read all of that. It's on fdnsports.com. It's our main one. And then he also has a tier factor for B, A, Pro Tour / NT, which NTs no longer exist. So Elite Series event, non-Worlds major, and then Worlds, so that they're all weighted. And so he explains all of this to get to this new world rankings, which is actually drastically different. Well, not drastically. We'll go with drastically. Different from any current world rankings out there. And it's, again, like a continual power struggle of what's the best world ranking, right? And to be honest with you, this one's the one we're going to keep posting on fdnsports.com. This is the one we'll refer to a lot. We're going to kind of continue to use all of them until there's one that we're like 100% confident in. I think that the best world ranking currently is still what we talked about, the Disc Golf Universe ranking, which just you combine all of them. I think that's the best bet, because this one, as we'll read through the top 10 or we'll just kind of go down the list a little bit. He also only doing it for.
Is still up. Somebody had that URL for a second there.
Which one?
Somebody like made the site. At one point.
Yeah.
I guess they have a new. Well, if you're listening and you made that website, I'm sure you are listening. Then I guess you better.
New one to factor in.
I guess you better update it.
Also, this one currently is only for MPO, just because that's what he was kind of doing this for fun on his own, and he said he put hundreds of hours into developing the math formula that goes into it. And so he said, basically, if this one gets popular enough, he'll spend the same amount of time and energy to create the FPO one, but he doesn't have it right now.
That's the beauty of our world rankings, the universe rankings, because we take all of the math that's already been created from every single system and just average it.
Yeah.
So we have more math than anybody.
And plus, we can explain the math really simple.
And it took us hundreds of seconds.
A plus B plus C divided by 3 equals universe ranking.
Something to think about.
I mean, 5th grader knows that math.
Yeah.
So
that's the Pythagorean Theory.
Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Yep. That's it.
I've used that every day in life. So this one, it's the one that's going to be on our site. I want to be like, this is the world ranking. This is 100% accurate. This is what... I can't, though. And I'll tell you why. So let's just go through the top 10. And Brody, I know you're listening to this, and I know that you are probably upset that I'm saying I can't call this the official world ranking.
He can't agree with some of these.
But I can't.
I know he wants to.
He wants to. Everything in Brody wants to agree 100% with these, and he wants me to promote it as 100%.
There's at least one thing in there that is criminal.
There's several things in here.
Let me pull up UDisc alongside you.
So here, I'll just read the top 10 to start. We have number 1, Ricky Wysocki, no argument. Number 2, Paul Macbeth, no argument. Number 3, Calvin Heimberg. 4, Chris Dickerson, first argument. Number 5, James Conrad.
Yes.
Question mark there.
For reference, he's 14th in UDisc.
Number 6, Kevin Jones. Number 7, argument number 2, Kyle Klein.
For reference, he's 10th in
Tough
UDisc.
one. Now, I don't even know if I put him in the top 10 right now. Yeah. I think the issue that both of these have is not enough recency bias.
It's so difficult, isn't it?
You have to find the fine line of, you don't want too much recency bias where someone wins the last tournament and they go number 1 in the world, but you want enough that if someone is really struggling, they're not in the top 10.
Here's where it's difficult, is you don't want a random player. Okay, so you need to have some recency bias because you need to have guys like fall out of the top 10. Like, for instance, Kyle Klein, like, he's hanging on to results he's had in, like, last season and the season before. That's why he's been hanging on. Nate Sexton's another good example. He's barely playing, but he's hanging on to his previous results. Eagle McMahon, I guess, is probably one of the better examples, too, because he had built up his index so high on UDisc, but he hasn't been playing because he's been hurt.
Well, so Eagle in this one, the DGI World Rankings,
Right.
is 8th.
But
it's a tough thing, too, because, like, what do you do with an injured player in world rankings in general? What do other sports do with injured players?
I think it's a similar thing where they just slowly slide. Because I think I remember that happening with Tiger. He would just slowly slide.
It's just a weird one.
Because then the problem is, too, we're saying we want to have some recency bias, but then you can't have too much recency bias, because then what happens is you're seeing the rankings just shift too
all
much.
the time.
And you're seeing guys who will have like a couple good events. They can't be bumped up into the top 10 just out of nowhere. Listen, it's so weird to say. And obviously, like, here, maybe what needs to happen, I don't know. I almost think that, though, like, the best system, because, like, when we argue world rankings, we're thinking in the terms of, like, we are thinking recent. Like, when we say, how is James Conrad in 5th, right? We are thinking recently. That's why. And I'm not saying recently like the last 2 weeks. I'm saying we're thinking recently like the whole season, right?
Yeah.
That's how we're thinking. I think when anybody argues for the world rankings, the reason they're arguing over like the course of this season. That is how they argue. Nobody thinks world rankings and is thinking over a 3-year plot, right? Nobody's doing that. So in my mind, why is the world rankings not only factoring in the last, I don't know, 15 weeks or so of like
6 months
or 15 events or whatever, like, because that really the world rankings is not meant to be the world rankings, in my mind, is meant to capture right now the world rankings at this moment.
Exactly.
This is the world rankings.
Correct.
This isn't the world rankings of the last 10 years combined. Like, let's make a top list of, like, that'd be like,
that's like the NBA 75.
right.
Greatest.
That's what I was thinking. Like, that'd be like me saying, let me make the top 100 players of the last 5 years, and that's the world rankings. No, the world rankings is, let's take what's happening right now and throw it down. And right now, for example, if I'm looking at the UDisc one, or I guess yours would be better. Right now, James Conrad is clearly not the 5th best player in the world.
Gannon Burr is a top 10 player in the world.
Right, and right now, Gannon Burr should be top 10. Like,
what's he on UDisc?
He's 9th.
Okay, so good. On ours, this one, he's 13th.
So
but Gannon Burr's a top 10 player.
Right, and like this, it was hurting
Garrett
Burr.
Gerthy is 19th in this.
For instance, this, like, even UDisc
like that's high.
was hurting Brody for a while, because Brody was like, until the last event, he had to do that to bump up to where it's a little more accurate. He's in 50th now, and I think that's at least fair.
Yeah, that's close.
But he was like in 70.
46th
He was like in 78th, and his largest finish, like most of his finishes were like top 40, top 30, and it's like it just wasn't capturing what's happening right now. And I think that's what's weird about about world rankings to me, is like, people are consuming disc golf like as a current event. So if you have world rankings that reflect very recent events, I don't think people are going to get mad about that. As long as it's not like the last 3 events, like, I don't have a problem backtracking it to, like, for me, I think the sweet spot would be like,
I think like 6 months.
Yeah, let's take the entirety of this season because now that we have enough, and like, let's take a little bit of the end of last season, and I think that's a good picture of what we're looking at in disc golf. And I think by the end of this season, I don't know why we need to be going back another season, because like, that's not the current world rankings. Like, that's like what happened last year and this year. Like, I don't know. That's a weird one. And I don't know. World rankings are not like, the other thing is we do place too much emphasis on world rankings a lot of times, because at the end of the day, I think that becoming world number 1 is a big deal. Like, speaking out, and the thing is, it's so weird in disc golf because there's been so few players that have been world number 1. So like, it's not, but like in golf, it shuffles around a good bit because it's very hard. Well, it has since the Tiger era, we'll say that. but it's so hard to stay world number one. You know, I'm sure like Jason Day was a world number one at some point. Dustin Johnson, Colin Morikawa. Like it's in the last few years, it's shifted around a ton. And getting that world number one is a big deal. But then I don't know. In disc golf, we talk about it a lot, and I don't really think that world rankings, they're fun. But like, how much do they matter now? And I'll say this:
I think they're great talking points. Of like
they help statistics. Like they're
because
fun
what you want to be able to say is, we'll just use Brody. We just used him again. You want to be able to say the 40 right now. He's 46th on this. The 46th best player in the world just came in third.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Where it gets skewed is like UDisc. When Brody came in third, he was like 68th. In the world.
I was thinking he was higher than that.
I think he moved up to 60.
I think he jumped up 20 spots.
Maybe.
There's 20-some spots.
It should have the mover on there. Unless it updated past that.
I think
was there a tournament this weekend?
Yeah.
Goat Hill
so
happened
he
this
moved
weekend.
up 2 more. But he was, I could have sworn he was in the 20s.
Regardless, let's just say 70th. Brody's not actually the 70th player in the world.
Right.
So when you say a 70th player finished third, it skews what's actually going on because that's not accurate.
Right.
And so that's where
and like that, like if we're using those stats in the sense of it being a current stat, then the world rankings need to also reflect the current ecosystem of the disc golf like competition.
Yes.
Right. Like that's the whole idea. Is like
that's what I'm saying. Is like it. If you want to go back far enough, sure. Like I like the time decay on the one that Judah's put together here. And Judah's, if you look at it as a broad world ranking and you don't get nitpicky, very good. UDisc, you look at it as a broad world ranking, you don't get nitpicky, very good.
I guess here's what
it's just when you get nitpicky and you look at some players, there's some players that just make no sense where they're at.
Here's what these world ranking systems do that one we're kind of like mentioning here, and let me be clear, I don't really know what implications this would have. I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out there.
Yeah, throw the ball and see what sticks. That's what we do out here.
But here, what the UDisc world ranking system does that I do respect when you add in more time and like a less time decay is it protects the number one ranking spot to where you're actually able to hold it like within reason, right? Like Ricky Wysocki can hold on to the number one spot and he doesn't have to be winning week in and week out. I mean, he does, right? But he wouldn't have to. Like for instance, it took Dickerson quite a while to bump into that third spot at the beginning of the season, even though he was playing really well. Like it protects the number one spot, which I think is a good thing because I don't think anybody should be able to get into that number one spot. I like the idea of it rotating somewhat, but like nobody other than Ricky, Paul, or Chris has deserved that spot over the last, I don't know, good bit of time. Or Eagle. At one point, he certainly did. So I guess that's where the tricky balance is, right? Like I want a more current event or more current rankings that's like reflecting what's happening now. But also, if you do that, is that going to just make it to where holding on to a number one in the world spot is just impossible?
I think the one Judah put together, it's on our website. Again, you can check this out at fdnsports.com if you want to look through because he has it all the way to like 250. It's wild. And he put a ton of hours and everything into this. And I think it's obviously, for the time period it covers, it's accurate. I think if I had to make an adjustment, again, I don't even know the math, so how dare I even say if I had to make an adjustment? But
yeah,
if I had to make an adjustment, what I would do is increase the whatever part of the formula for the time decay to have the more recent, like 6 months, value a lot more, and then like once you get past like a year, really start dropping off. So it's still factored in, but nowhere near as much. So like if you played really, really good a year ago and really, really bad today, you're still going to be able to like benefit a little bit from that year ago. Yeah. But you're not going to be sneaking into the top 10 or something like that.
I've got the world golf rankings. This is a list of, I believe this was created in quite a while ago, not like ancient times, like not like the beginning of golf any while. Okay, first position was in 1986. Only 25 players since 86 have had the world number one ranking in golf, and the list basically has who had like the longest streaks. Tiger Woods, and this is a big reason why there's only 25 people on the list, is because Tiger Woods had world number one for 683 weeks. Greg Norman.
That's like 10 years. That's over 10 years.
Greg Norman had it for 331 weeks. Dustin Johnson, so now we get past the Tiger era and the Greg Norman era there. Dustin Johnson had it for 139 weeks. Rory had it for 106 weeks. Nick Faldo had it for 97 weeks. That's back a little bit. But then you have, Adam Scott only had it for 11 weeks. Justin Thomas had it for 5 weeks at one point. Scotty Scheffler has it right now. He's had it for 7 weeks. But the point is, in the golf one, I just kind of was curious to see how theirs works a little more. You definitely are able to hold on to a number one spot.
Should be factored heavily. This was heavily influenced by the golf,
right?
The math and stuff behind it. This one,
in the world golf rankings here, you are definitely able to hold on to a number one spot for a significant amount of time.
Well, maybe what it is like you just need to factor in because the
problem is the difference.
The
in
tough
the
part is
the
the Pro
weird.
Tour points should be like kind of what we're asking about of like super recency.
Yeah,
but not everyone's playing all the Pro Tour.